Property expert Vinay Singh joins us from Mumbai. Vinay, always a pleasure to have you on the show. I'd like to kick off this today's segment by first discussing a recent Supreme Court order that has come as a big relief to buyers. The Apex Court has ruled that a flat owner can sell, let or mortgage his flat for loan without permission of the builder or society. Now, earlier buyers were required to pay a certain rate per square feet just to get an NOC to either rent or sell or mortgage his property. Vinay, with respect to this Supreme Court order, how significant is this decision, and help us read into the implications of this ruling?
Well, Vasudha, I think we have discussed this very question on this show itself multiple times, and my stand over the years always has been that this is a monster that has been created by lenders such as banks and house finance institutions. Earlier, the builder would charge some small token amount to give the NOC. Of late, what we are seeing is that the builders have started charging per square foot, and sometimes you find that just for that piece of paper, the NOC, a person wanting to sell before the society is formed has to shell out as much as 1,000 rupees a square foot. So that's completely usurious, and the practice itself was totally illegal. Now the Supreme Court has also made it very clear that insofar as the right even in a flat in a society is concerned, the flat owner has a right on it. It is a species of property, and you do not need an NOC to mortgage or sell either from the builder or from the society or from any other body like a private limited company or whatever may be in place. So they have said that the flat owner has the right and he can do what he wants and he does not need this. What should be a good fallout hopefully from this is that if the banks stop demanding this kind of a NOC, then there will be some relief to the flat sellers at the point of time when they are selling their property.
But Vinay, we have seen similar judgments in other issues also related to buying or selling property, like selling parking is illegal and various judgments have come on it, but still there is no compliance. So compliance in this order is also going to be a challenge.
Yes, that unfortunately is true, Vasudha, that although the Supreme Court judgment regarding parking is quite old, there is no leeway and no respite there. Even the big names, the biggest of names and the most respected names in the industry still charge for parking. So, I mean, unless somebody takes them to court and the court start dishing out penalty which is severe, I don't think that that practice is going to stop. But here it's a little different, because this practice continues only because people like the banks and the lenders are asking for it. If they stop asking for it, nobody would go to the builder for this particular document. So I think that this practice could be stopped very easily if the lenders stop asking for it. So that's the difference between parking and the NOC.
All right, so the buck has to stop with the builders, the compliance has to come from them. All right, Vinay, a lot of our viewers are also calling in with their legal and tax questions. Our first caller is on the line. It's Ashish Gogia. Hi Ashish, what's your question for Vinay?
Hi, I am from Gurgaon, and my under construction flat is almost ready now. The builder says that he will provide possession only once the registry is done. Now, number one is, assuming the project has obtained completion certificate, is registry a mandatory thing to hand over possession? Secondly, in case completion certificate is not in place, but builder cites that they have necessary approvals to go ahead with the registry process, is this possible? And finally, is registry charges only the basic cost at the time of launch of the project, or does it include all the PLC, EDC, IDC, electrification charges, even covered parking, something like that?
Okay. So Vinay, Ashish's builder is saying that he won't give possession without registry. He's unsure if his builder has a completion certificate. He wants to know, is a completion certificate mandatory to get it registered? And if he doesn't have a certificate, what can be done? So, and also he wants to know, what does the registry charge include? So what can you tell him?
Well, Ashish, in the first instance, the registration of your agreement has nothing to do with the completion certificate. In fact, it is in your interest to insist that the registration of your agreement with the builder happens as soon as possible, because that is the agreement that gives you your rights, that defines what are your rights and what are the liabilities and obligations of the builder. So you should be in fact chasing the builder that please let us register this agreement as soon as possible. The builder is also justified in telling you that he is not going to give you possession till you register the agreement. So my advice to you is please go right ahead and register the document as soon as possible. Regarding your next question as to the payment of the other charges, now generally if you see most of the standard builder agreements, these charges are taken when the builder is ready to hand over possession to you. But it is subject to contract, it depends on what is there in your agreement. Since most of the time has passed and you are ready to give possession, I think if your agreement states that you must pay this at or about the time of possession, that seems to be quite fine.
So Vinay, now that you've clarified that registration can be done even without a completion certificate, what if the completion certificate gets held up later on but the property gets registered? Will that pose any problems for the buyer?
Well, yes, it does pose problems, but as I told you, at this stage what is important when you are paying good money is that your rights have to get quantified, and that would not happen till you go and register the agreement. If you see what has been happening in the last 7-8 years, we have this practice of pre-launch where builders are asking you to pay money without any document, and later on you find that the buyers are stuck because you have gone on paying money, your rights are not defined, the unit you purchased, you are handed over something else, or there is a delay, or there is a cost escalation, and you find it very difficult to fight because you don't have a document which spells out what your rights are. So I think that is a minor risk. If you get an architect to check the plans, etc., and see that the builder has gone about it in the right way, there's no reason why the completion certificate should not come at a later stage. So I think the due diligence is important, but at the same time agreement is something you should not delay even for 1 minute.
All right, due diligence is important. We have our next caller on the line. It's Rajiv Juneja. Hi Rajiv, share your question with us.
Yeah, good evening to you, ma'am. I'm Rajiv from New Delhi. Sir, I have bought a flat on a resale basis from builder Ansals in sector 91, Gurgaon, and the project name is Fernhill. And apparently I bought this flat which is situated on 16th floor. But what recently I have come to know that they have only issued the buyer-seller agreement for the floors up till 12th because they haven't got the permission for the subsequent floors. Now, despite my repeated reminders, they are assuring me that they will relocate in the same location or probably in the same building or in the project itself. But I have one question because apparently 2 months have passed and I haven't got any concrete answer from them as yet. So I have one question because I do not have any buyer-seller agreement and I have already agreed 35% of the total cost of the project which they have taken from the person whom I have brought this flat. So is there any way that I can fight against it legally, or is that I am only entitled to refund of my money with whatever due interest they pay?
Vinay, can he rightfully demand a relocation within the project now that we know that he doesn't have a builder-buyer agreement?
Well, Rajiv, I think a lesson for you here would be that if you ever buy a property, the first thing to do is check the plans and see that they are in place and the property you're booking is in fact going to materialize. Now, at this stage, it's very difficult in the absence of any information to say what would happen. My advice to you would be to go and consult an architect who would be able to guide you as to whether this 16th floor is ever going to get constructed or not. So if there is some delay, but it looks likely that the 16th floor would be completed, perhaps you should stay invested. If the architect advises you that this is never going to happen, then I would suggest that you ask the builder for a relocation in the same project and you fight for it. If you have some documentation which you can establish that this was promised to you, I think you have a fairly good chance of this happening. If the builder does not agree, you could always approach the consumer forum and fight for your rights there.
Okay, fight for your rights. You have rightfully put all your money in that project, so you need to demand what is rightfully yours. All right, next we have an email query from Swapnil Janardhan. He bought an under construction property in Navi Mumbai with a registration value of 54 lakhs in May 2013. In the recent payment of 5 lakhs that his builder demanded this month, his lender has asked him to first clear TDS of 1%. He wants to know, does he need to pay the 1% TDS for the full 54 lakhs that for which he has bought the flat, or for the payments that were done before 1st June when TDS became applicable in India? And would there be a penalty in case he has a delay in payment? Vinay?
Yeah. The law as it has been introduced is such that for all installments which you pay from 1st June onwards, 1st June 2013, you are liable to deduct tax at source. So therefore, any installment that you would have paid prior to 1st June 2013, you do not need to deduct any TDS. In fact, if you have credited that particular installment to the account of the builder prior to 1st June, although you may have paid it on or after 1st June, you still do not have to deduct TDS. So this is how the law stands as of today. So he will have to divide it into two. The ones that are paid subsequent to 31st May, he would have to deduct TDS on that.
Okay, so the key takeaway is that TDS is only applicable on transactions on or after 1st June 2013. All other payments before that, out of the TDS purview. Vinay, thank you so much for joining us on the show and for your expert advice.